Hi everyone, so this is module 3, lesson 3, and this is another type of variation, which is the joint variation. So how does joint variations differ with the other two variations that you have learned already? Okay, are you ready? Alright, so before anything else, we will have a quick overview of what joint variation is first. So when we speak about joint variation from the word joint, okay, so it looks like a direct variation which consists of more than two quantities. Alright, so let's try this. Find the equation of variation where A varies jointly as B and C, and A is equal to 36 when B equals 3 and C equals 4. So here, it is very clear now that from the statement, we have three quantities involved. The first one is, we have, let me have this one. So the first is A, and then we have B and C. Okay, so B and C. So there consists three variables or three quantities. Now, what is the definition of a joint variation? So here we go. The statement A varies jointly as B and C means A equals K, B, C. So as you notice, this looks like a direct variation. However, for a direct variation, it only involves two variables, let's say A and B. However, for joint variation, there are two variables on the other side. So that means three quantities are involved here. So K is again the constant of variation. So going back with this problem, how do we do this? So from the statement that we have, then we can write the equation as A equals KBC. That is, A varies jointly as B and C. Alright, so here, how do we do this? First is, of course, to find out what is the value of K. So substitute A, B, and C from the given. So you have A is 36, we have B is 3, and C is 4. We will substitute it to the form that we have, the mathematical statement that we have. So we have now 36 K times 3 times 4. Now 3 times 4 is, of course, this one here. 3 times 4 is 12. So we have 12K. Now, of course, to solve for K, we just need to divide both sides of the equation by 12. Okay, so divide both sides of the equation by 12. We're going to have K equals 3. That is 36 divided by 12. Alright, so with this, we can now go back to this one here. Go back here and then substitute K with 3 as it is being as this is the value that we have solved, right? So we have A equals 3BC. Now go back to the question, find the equation of variation. So there you go, done with this first example that we have. Okay, now this one is the first step actually of solving any joint variation problems. So the first step is to translate. You know how to do this already because you've been with the direct and the inverse variation. Okay, so this is translating verbal sentences to mathematical sentences using the joint variation that we have earlier, which is A equals K, where K is the constant of variation, K, B, K. Okay, so this is your guide in order to find the statement, the mathematical sentence for each of the following statements. Okay, first is P varies jointly as Q and R. Can you do it? So it's just P equals Q, KQR. Okay, very good. Another one. V varies jointly as L, W, and H. Okay, so it's just V equals K, L, W, H. So here, it's not just 3, but 4 quantities are involved. V, L, W, and H. Okay, so that is what joint variation means. Here's another one. The area of a parallelogram varies jointly as the base B and altitude H. Sige nga. Have you found the answer? A equals K, B, and H. Yun lang. Ganun kasimple. And this is the... Okay, so hindi na siya masyadong mahirap kasi you've been with the direct and inverse variation. So here is another one. The volume of a cylinder, V, varies jointly as its height, H, and the square of the radius, R. Yun lang naman yung tatandaan, yung hahanapin nyo, yung parang you have to pay attention to the word square. Kasi most of the time, nagkakamali tayo because we neglect the word square. And it doesn't exempt me. Most of the time, yun din yung, yung lagi kong pagkakamali when solving variation problems. Okay, so here, since we have V as our first quantity, so you have V equals, tapos lagay ka na ng K. So, let me do it here. V, wait. Okay, yan. Tapos, equals, lagay ka na ng K. Tapos, pakitingnan mo yung another variable mo. So, jointly as its height, H. So, lagay mo din si H. And the square. Ito yung word na to. The square of the radius, R. So, dapat R square daw, sabi niya. Square. Yun, ganun lang. Kasimple. Okay, so yun. Next, another example. The heat H produced by an electric lamp varies jointly as the resistance R and the square of the current I. Ito na naman si square. Ayan. Yan lang yung parang kailangan yung bantayan. Baka may square dun sa given. So here, you're going to have H equals K, tapos yung given na una, which is R. So, KR, tapos si I, of course, square nyo siya kasi merong square. So, it will become H equals KR, I squared. Right? Ngayon, pag meron ka ng mathematical statements, mathematical equation, pwede ka nang mag-solve. Okay? So, if we're going to have this as an example, Z varies jointly as X and Y. So, wag mo munang ituloy yung pagbabasa. Translate ka muna into mathematical equation. So, here, Z varies jointly as X and Y. So, kaya meron tayong Z equals K, X, Y. Pagkatapos, you need to substitute the first set of given na ito yon. If Z equals 16, when X equals 4, and Y equals 6, find the constant of variation. So, constant of variation yung value ng K. So, what you need to do is to substitute. So, yung Z magiging 16. Okay? So, yung Z naging 16. Yung X dito is naging 4 kasi 4 yung given. Tapos, yung Y becomes 6. Ito yon. Okay? So, substitution ang nangyari dito. And then, by evaluation, you have 6 times 4 is 24. So, magiging 24K siya. And then, of course, divide both sides of the equation by 24 para ma-solve mo yung value ng K. Okay? So, divide mo siya both sides ng 24, pero ang gulo-gulo na. Ang gulo na, kaya tanggalin na lang natin sila. Okay? So, divide both sides by 24. Since hindi naman kayang i-divide yung 16 by 24, so yung gagawin mo is just to reduce to lowest term. So, from 16 over 24, parang divisible naman siya by 4. Tama ba? By 8 nga, by 8. Okay, so tama. Okay, hindi na ako magaling sa fractions. Okay, so divisible by 8. So you have 16 divided by 8 is 2, and then 24 divided by 8 is 3. So k is equals to 2/3. Now, ang sabi pa, aside from finding the constant of variation, it also asks you to find the equation of the relations. You have to go back here. Tapos, palitan nyo lang si K ng value niya. So, magiging Z is equal to the K, 2/3, tapos XY. Yun na yun. Okay, madali lang yun. So, now, solve for the constant of variation, then find the missing value. Solving na tayo. So, paano ba mag-solve ng joint variation problems? Okay, meron tayong example dito. Z varies jointly as x and y. So, again, gawa ka muna ng mathematical equation before continuing. So, you have z equals jointly, so k, x, y. Tapos, z equals 60 when x equals 5 and y equals 6. So, to solve for k, find k by substitution. So, substitute mo yung given na una. So, you have 60 for z, you have 5 for x, tapos 6 sa y. Tapos, evaluate ka muna para ma-solve yung k. 5 times 6 is 30. So, you have 30k. Tapos, divide both sides by 30 para makuha mo yung k equals to. Asan galing yan? Nag-divide ka dito by 30. So, 60 divided by 30 is 2. Yun. Pag meron ka ng value ng k, balik ka dun sa equation na ginawa mo. So, palitan mo yung k ng solved value, which is 2. So, you're going to have z equals to xy. Tapos, balikan mo yung tanong, continue with, find z when x equals 7 and y equals 6. So, dito, substitute ka na ulit dito sa x tsaka sa y. Okay, so, x will become 7 while y will become 6. And then, kasi dire-diretso lang yan, tuloy-tuloy lang, multiply mo na lang sila lahat. 2 times 7 is 14 times 6, the value of z is 84. Yun. Madali? Kung naguguluhan pa, here's another example. Z varies jointly as x and y. Variation statement, z equals kxy. Solve for k, substitute z with 3, x with 3, and y with 15. Now, by evaluation, 3 times 15, wait lang, 3 times 15 is 45. Okay, so 45k. Divide both sides by 45. So, meron kang, saan galing yung 1 over 15? Kasi diba magiging dividing both by 45. So, dito, 3, teka lang ha. Balikan natin. Sandali lang. Medyo magaling si ma'am dito. Okay. So, ito na lang. So, 3. Oh, diba? Ang galing. Struggle is real. Okay? So, 3. Divide both sides by 45. So, meron tayong 3 over 45. Oh, basta 45 yan. Ngayon, yung 3 over 45, hindi mo siya kayang i-divide. Pero kaya mo siyang i-reduce to lowest term. So, yung lowest term naman niya is all are divisible by 3. So, 3 divided by 3 is 1. And then, 45 divided by 3 is 15. So, yung k is 15. Balik ka na dito. Wait lang. Balik ka na dun sa mathematical equation mo sa first step. Palitan mo yung k mo ng 1 over 15. So, meron ka ng z equals 1 over 15 xy. Tapos, go to the question again, and then continue with find z when x equals 6 and y equals 9. So, dito, palitan mo to ng 6, ito naman, palitan mo ng 9. So, here, yan. Okay? So, una muna is 1 times 6 times 9. So, 1 times 6, 6 times 9, that's 54 divided by 15. Ngayon, hindi mo na kayang i-reduce. Kaya pa bang i-reduce yan? By 3. Kaya naman siya. So, dividing both by 3, you have 54 divided by 3. Ano ba yung sagot? 118. So, it will be 18 over 18 ba? Or 16? Okay, ito na naman tayo. Ang galing-galing ni ma'am, di ba? So, it's 16 over 5. Okay? So, yun. Okay, isa pa. D varies jointly as H and G. If D equals 15 when H equals 14 and G equals 5, find G when H equals 21 and D equals 8. Okay, dineretso ko na, pero kayo pag nag-solve kayo dapat stop lang muna. Like for instance, step 1 is coming from this statement. Pagkabasa mo yan, gawa ka muna ng mathematical statement. So, D varies jointly as H and G is, ano yun? D equals KHG. Yun. Parang direct variation na maraming quantities involved. Yun. Pagkatapos, substitute mo yung first given. D will become 15. Dito. H will become 14. And G is 5. So, yan. Tingnan nyo lang maigi, baka mali yung substitution. So, 15, 14, and 5. 14 times 5 is 70. Dividing both sides by 70 is 15 over 70. Reduce mo siya sa lowest terms, you're going to have 3 over 14 for K. Tapos, balik ka dun sa first equation mo. Palitan mo si K ng 3 over 14. Tapos, another substitution will happen. Ano ba yan? Okay, so H is 21 and D is 8. So, you're going to have 8. Bakit nandito ang 8? Dito ko nilagay yung 8 kasi D ang given. Yan. So, 8 dito, tapos yung H sa 21, tapos yung G ang pinapahanap. Kaya, andyan lang si G. Alright? So, here, 3 times 21, tapos over 14, that's equal to 63 over 14. Paano masasolve yung G? Baliktarin lang natin. Si 63 over 14, multiply natin both sides of the equation by 14 over 63. Okay? Yan. Tapos, yung dito, 8 times 14, ito, 8 times 14, tapos over 63. Yung dito naman, canceled na, so G na lang yung natira. So, 8 times 14 over, 8 times 14, I mean, is 112. Divided by 63, so, yan, 112 over 63. And, siya na yung i-reduce mo into 16 over 9. Yun. So, bakit naging 16 over 9 yan? Kasi, both are divisible by 7. Okay? 7 nga ba? Oo, 7. So, 11 divided 7 is 1. Tapos, 11 minus 7 is 4. 42 is 6. Yun. So, 16 over 9 is the reduced form. Yun, final sagot. Tanong? Okay, so meron pa tayong example na natira. Z varies jointly as the square root of the product of x and y. Stop muna tayo. Meron akong nabasa. I hope nabasa nyo rin. Okay, so square root. Hindi lang siya basta square, square root talaga. So, paano bang gagawin natin para makuha natin yung mathematical equation? So, Z equals K times the square root of x and y. Kasi product of x and y daw, the square root of the product of x and y. So, yun yung kailangan yung bantayan ha in every variation statement, yung may square o yung may square root para hindi kayo magkamali. Alright? Solving for k, we just need to substitute z with 3, x with 3, and y with 12. Yun. So, here, eto na siya. So, z is 3, tapos 3 din yung x, 12 yung y. 3 times 12 is 36, and then the square root of 36 is 6. So, divide mo both sides of the equation by 6, yung k mo is 1/2. Bakit 1/2? Kasi pag nag-divide ka both sides, yung kabilang side magiging 3/6, yung dito. Okay, so that's 3/6. So, hindi naman siya kayang ma-divide, pero ma-reduce mo siya into 1/2. So, that's why we have k equals 1/2. Then dito, balik ka na dito, substitute x with, k, hindi x. Substitute k with 1/2, kagaya ng na-solve mo. So, you're going to have z equals 1/2 square root of xy. Tapos, pangalawang substitution will happen again, and that is coming from the second set of given na z equals 6. So, ito magiging 6 na siya. Tapos, y is 64. So, here we go. Ito na yon. So, yung 64, nasa loob, tsaka si x. So, that's 64x. Nandyan pa rin yung 1/2. Okay? So, dito, yung square root naman ng 64 is 8, di ba? So, kaya ito, 64, lumabas na siya. So, ayan, naging 8. Tapos, 8 times 1 is 8, divided by 2, that is 4. Tama ba? Okay, so, 4. Ngayon, paano natin masasolve yung x? Nasa loob siya ng radical symbol. Simple lang, ang gagawin mo is to square both sides of the equation para matanggal yung radical symbol, yung square root sign. Ngayon, pag nag-square ka, of course, itong 6 is 6 squared. So, that is 36. Yung 4 naman, 4 squared. So, that is 16. Tapos, tanggal na yung square root sign ng x. Okay, so you have 36 equals 16/x. Tapos, divide both sides by 16. So, you have 36/16. Reduce mo na lang siya, divisible by 4 naman. So, you have a final answer of 9/4. Okay, so, pagkatapos ng evaluation, yung mga problems kung paano pag-solve ng joint variation problems, meron tayong real life or word problems naman tayo. Okay? So, solve for the following problem. Ito yon. The amount of gasoline used by car varies jointly as the distance traveled and the square root of the speed. Paano ba mag-solve ng word problem na? The steps are just the same with yung mga hindi pa siya naka real life situation na mga given. So, ganun din, yung first step mo is gumawa ng mathematical equation. So, here, kaya nag-stop ako from reading kasi gusto ko munang gumawa ng mathematical statement. So, say, meron tayong G to stand for the gasoline. Tapos, varies jointly as the distance, D na lang muna. Tapos, the square root of the speed. So, S na lang muna. So, yung variation statement natin, variation equation will be G equals K, D for distance, and remember, meron siyang word na square root. Yun. So, the square root of S, that is for the speed. Next step, ganun din, solve for the value of K. Now, since meron tayong second statement, basahin na muna natin. Suppose a car used 25 liters. So, yung 25 liters, gasoline yan, of course, on a 100-kilometer trip. So, 100 kilometer is the distance at 100 kilometer per hour. So, yun yung speed. Substitute natin sila lahat. So, meron tayong ganito. Now, the square root of 100, dito tayo mag-umpisa, is 10. Kaya naman, get the square root of 100, it will become 100 times 10. Kasi square root of 100 is 10. Tapos, 100 times 10 is 1,000. So, divide both sides by 25. Yung ending mo is 25 over 1,000. Reduce mo siya to lowest term and then you can have k is equal to 1 over 40. Tapos, may k value ka na. Balik ka dito. Substitute k with 1 over 40. Yan. So, meron ka ng g equals 1 over 40d square root of s. Then, continue na tayo sa problem. About how many liters will it use on a 192 kilometer trip at 64 kilometer per hour? So, yung 192, palit mo siya dun sa d. Kasi kilometer, sa distance yon. Tapos, yung 64, palitan mo si s ng 64 kasi kilometer per hour means the speed. Okay? So, with that, eto na. So, ganun din, kagaya ng process natin kanina, you start with getting the square root of 64. And 64, the square root of 64 is 8. Yun. Tapos, multiply ka lahat dito. 1 times 192 times 8. Tapos, divide 40. You're going to get 38 over, 38.4. Sabi, about how many liters? So, kailangan mo lang mag-round off. Okay? So, 38 liters. About 38 liters ang magagamit mo on a 192 kilometers. Yan. Easy, di ba? Here's another problem. So, the area of a triangle, area naman tayo, varies jointly as the base and the height. So, dito, meron tayong A for area. Gawa kasi muna tayo ng variation statement or equation. So, varies jointly as the base, tapos height. So, yung magiging equation natin shall be equals K, BH. Tapos, solve for K using the given a triangle with a base 8. So, B is 8. Palit natin siya dito sa B. Height of 9. So, sa H naman, 9 ang ipalit natin. Has an area of 36 square meters. So, dito, 36. Yun. Palitan natin sila para ma-solve yung K. So, we have 36 equals K times 8 times 9. 8 times 9 is 72. Tapos, divide both sides by 72. 36 over 72 siya. Tapos, yung 36 over 72 can be reduced into 1 half. So, K is 1 half. Tapos, balik ka dito sa equation mo. Palitan mo si K ng 1 half. So, you're going to have A equals 1 half BH. Find the area. Continue na tayo. Find the area when the base is 10. So, dito sa B, palitan mo siya ng 10. Height is 7. So, dito naman, 7. So, magiging A equals 1 half times 10 times 7. Tapos, evaluate ka na. 10 times 7 is 70. Divided by 2. Area is, 35. 35 square centimeters. Yan. Okay, ito na yon. Your asynchronous activity is okay, may part 1. So, first part is, you have to answer the question, who is this Filipino inventor? Ano yung in-invent niya? Okay? So, he is a Filipino mathematician who developed a board game, Damats. Familiar ba kayo dun sa Damat? Yung, di ba dati, pag during face-to-face, meron tayong mathematics month, tapos merong Damat. One of the activities is Damat. So, isa pala siyang Filipino mathematician ang naka-invent nito. And the board game applies the moves used in the Filipino board game Dama to solve problems on different concepts in mathematics. Who is this Filipino inventor? To find out, match the letter that corresponds to the answer to the numbered item on your left. So, asa na yan? Eto. So, meron tayong problem sa kabila. Z varies jointly as X and Y. Number 1, translate into variation statement. So, asan yung mga letters? Andito po yung letters. Ayan. So, halimbawa, yung answer mo sa number 1 is A. Meron bang A? Meron naman. So, halimbawa A, So, record mo lang muna, tapos pag natapos ka from number 1 until number 6, eto na yung answer sheet. Lagay mo sa number 1 kung anong letter yon, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, para para malaman mo kung sino tong Filipino inventor na to. And of course, show your solutions whenever necessary. Part 1 pa lang yan. Okay, think deeper. So, ito na yon. Find the missing value. Ito yung mga diniscuss ko kanina. I'm sure kaya nyo na to. And, meron tayong isang problem na kailangan nyo ding isolve. Alright? So, happy learning. Enjoy. Bye-bye.